afternoon, Pokésports, and welcome to another tier list video. In today's tier list, we're going to be looking at the fighting type in Pokemon Sword and Shield, which I will arguably say doesn't seem like it has the hardest of hitters. It has the very, very goods and the very, very mids and the very, very bads, right? Not a lot of fighting types in the game in general. Fighting type does seem to be a somewhat rare typing in Sword and Shield. You only got a handful to choose from, and only a few of them are good. And yeah, let's find out which ones those are. If you guys are enjoying the tier list so far, you know what to do. Hit the like button down below and subscribe to Pokésports if you haven't done so already, because we're really close to Legends Arceus. The more tier lists, I think I only have 3 tier lists after this tier list, and then it's Legends Arceus time. It's crazy how close it is. But yeah, let's get on to this tier list. Now, what are we looking at for the top of the top, the cream of the crop, the best of the best? I think it goes without saying that Urshifu has dominated nearly every single metagame that it's in, and both Urshifu Dark and Urshifu Water do similar things in very cool and different ways. And I feel like in most situations when your team needs a fighting type, you kind of hover to either one of these two, right? It's really only the 2 options you have in most case scenarios, because they're just so much better than the majority of the rest of the fighting types in the game, if I'm going to be entirely honest. So, hey, respect to Urshifu's. You crit through protects, and you have different stances. But to be honest, I'm having a hard time finding a bottom on the bottom, because what I'm going to put in F tier isn't necessarily absolute garbage. You can never use them, because they have usage. It's not like they don't have usage. They're just not the greatest Pokemon and kind of the worst on this list, I feel. And that kind of has to go out to Sawk and Throh. I might even put Sawk in D tier because Sawk does get sturdy. So Throh, I'm sorry. I understand you wanted to be like Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan, but you guys, why'd you have to go and wear karate clothes? Yeah, I mean, the only reason I have this in D tier is because this does get sturdy, which can be useful in lower tiers. So I guess let's go ahead with that. You know, I'm not super confident because, like I said, these they could do something, right? It's not like they can't do anything, which is why I have a hard time putting them in F. But hey, it is what it is. Moving on with like a solid A though. I want to see a solid A. What Pokemon do I think is a solid A? Easily A. I'm gonna say Cobalion. Cobalion's pretty solid. Justified boosting is very fun to do if you're playing VGC with a beat up Mon. Like typically beat up Whimsicott is what people tend to gravitate to. So that can simply take over a game. It's essentially a better Lucario. So I'll go ahead and give Lucario a B tier just so we can have a sort of a guideline where we're going for this list. Give Lucario a nice B tier, and C tier will designate to the Pokemon that could have been good if they just had a little bit more, right? One of the Pokemon I feel like is easily defined by that is maybe Gallade. I feel like maybe Gallade is the same as a Lucario, to be honest. Maybe not the weird Pokemon that needs a little bit of a push, a little bit of oomph before I can go ahead and call them decent. Primape? I wouldn't say Primape is necessarily decent. It's not necessarily awful. I guess not Primape. How about that's too bad. This is hard. The fighting type is like they kind of all do similar things. They kind of do similar things. Oh, Medicham. I feel like Medicham with pure power is better than Sawk for sure. It's definitely better than Sawk. Okay, let's use this as our guideline for now. This is what happens when you make tier lists without any preparation whatsoever, but that's fine because this is getting our raw emotion. We have no rehearsing added onto this tier list. Given the Pokemon that we're given, I think a solid A can also be Terrakion. I wouldn't necessarily say Terrakion is just as good as Urshifu. Oh, I said A. There you go. That's better. These kind of do the same thing. I do like Terrakion more though. because Terrakion is faster and does have a more cool typing, with Rock being very good into flying types, as we can see are very good Pokemon by my last tier list. We went through flying types. There were so many A tiers in flying types. So by having a super effective stab against flying types helps a lot. Definitely does help. I think another A tier can be Galarian Zapdos. Probably even better than Cobalion. Galarian Zapdos, actually, S tier. I think Galarian Zapdos is S tier. Galarian Zapdos is the only other fighting type that you ever consider, right? If you don't have an Urshifu on your team, or if your team's super weak to Intimidate, Galarian Zapdos. Easy. I've gotten wrecked by Galarian Zapdos in Series 12 like you guys can't even imagine, and I'm so tired of getting wrecked by them. So I'll give it the respect it deserves. Just please leave me alone, Galarian Zapdos. I'm tired of seeing you on the ladder. Moving on. I do like Mienshao as a Pokemon. In fact, I do think Mienshao is one of the best Pokemon. I would honestly give Mienshao S tier. Am I crazy for saying that? Am I nuts? Am I absolutely insane? I don't think so. One of the fastest fake outs in the game. Gets Exit the Feint, has knockoff, has close combat, has wide guard. Great support mon. Has inner focus, can't get fake outed. Pretty much guarantee a fake out on whoever you want turn 1. So yeah, Mienshao, respect. A lot of respect to Mienshao in today's video. Hitmontop, I'll give you a nice A. Hitmontop is another great support mon. It's unfortunately overshadowed by Incineroar because Incineroar does everything Hitmon does, but better, except for wide guard. That's the one thing that Hitmontop does have over Incineroar is wide guard. But hey, it's an Intimidate support mon with fake out. They all kind of do similar things. It's really hard to nitpick which is best and which is worst, but Incineroar has been at the top of everyone's list for quite a while now. Speaking of Intimidate, I think Scrafty is a solid B. Scrafty's worst thing is its typing. Beyond that, it's a great mon. It's fairly tanky, has pretty high attack. It's average, and is an Intimidator with fake out. And before Incineroar came around, Scrafty was absolutely everywhere. For good reason. It did what Incineroar does, just a little bit worse. So respect to Scrafty as well. Passimian actually saw a lot of play earlier, like Series 6, 5, and 4, because of its ability. Because of that fact, I'll go ahead and give it an A, because it did technically see more play than Lucario, in my opinion. Definitely bottom of A. Not a top tier A pick, in my opinion. Kommo-o, I'll give Kommo-o another A pick, too. Definitely still bottom of the A's, but very good, especially if you end up with clanging scales and getting tanky and fast and irritating. It was technically better in Generation 7, but you would have had to waste the Z move for that, so there's some drawbacks to it. But we'll give Kommo-o a solid A. Zamazenta. If we're looking at just fighting types, I think Zamazenta is one of the best fighting types in the game. It's definitely really good. It's definitely better than, these Pokemon. I feel, at least, Zamazenta. Stats wise, it's very fast, has support moves, it hits like a truck, gets +1 defense the second it enters the field. Like, it's such a cool Pokemon. It could be better, but maybe in Series 12, now that we're allowed 2 restricteds, we are, we don't feel kind of stupid for using our only restricted spot on the Zamazenta. We have that little bit of leeway there. So Zamazenta, enjoy S tier while you can. Because I'm pretty sure it wasn't an S tier for steel types, but we digress. We continue on. We ignore the past. Let's look at the bottom of the list. I want to look at some lower tier mons. Lower tier mons like Hitmontop. Where are we sticking Hitmontop? Does have an interesting, I think it's in Sawk. Does have an interesting, Iron Fist ability. It's not the best, but does have elemental punches and does, hit fairly hard. I would say that Hitmonlee is actually in B tier though. Hitmonlee with Unburden can be really fun if you're running. I've seen Hitmonlee with Rillaboom in the past with a Grassy Seed, or you can even do Psychic Seed. But I feel like with Rillaboom is better because that way you can still use Fake Out, be like one of the fastest Fake Outers in the game because of your Unburden. You also get Wide Guard like a lot of other fighting types, so you have that benefit for helping Rillaboom. Live attacks as well. So I think there's more utility in Hitmonlee than Hitmonchan, unfortunately, for Hitmonchan. So I think that's pretty even the way it is. No Guard is pretty good ability as well. No Guard Machamp can hit like a absolute trunk, and there's nothing more annoying than getting like not parafused, it's just like fused by a dynamic punch at 100% accuracy. It definitely hurts. Conkeldurr though. Conkeldurr is A, man. I like every time I think of Conkeldurr, I think of a beast fighting type. Like sit there with 2 cinder blocks just holding them. Doesn't even care. Decides to Mach Punch because for some reason it can be the fastest Pokemon in the field whenever it wants. I think Conkeldurr is a very strong Pokemon. That on top of the fact it gets Guts is really cool because you can just like, just stick Flame Orb on yourself. Evade sleeps, evade freezes because you already have a status. Of course, you take a little bit of damage every turn, but hey, it is what it is. You also get access to Fake Out, to Assault Vest. Not Fake Out. You get access to Assault Vest, which, just make it that much tankier. I like that Pokemon a lot. Heracross, I'll give it a C. I do think it's better than Hitmonchan. It does have the problem with being a bug and fighting type, which makes it 4 times weak to flying. Not a great thing to be, Speaking of 4 times with the flying, we have Virizion. I'll give Virizion B because it does have the same beat up thing as Cobalion and Terrakion, but I feel like it's definitely the lower hanging fruit, right? It's not as good as these two. These two are kind of top of the list. Virizion is at the bottom in that respect. Pheromosa though. This might be controversial. Pheromosa S. This might be very controversial. The only reason I'm putting an S is because obviously we're looking at only fighting types, right? And then determining where the fighting types stand amongst themselves, not necessarily where Pheromosa stands amongst all of the 900 plus Pokemon. I think with only fighting types being considered, Pheromosa is a great Pokemon because its stats don't actually matter in defense because they're so low, so you just stick a sash on this every single time. And you have access to such cool moves. Lunge, Icy Wind, High Jump Kick, etc. Right? It's such a cool Pokemon. You could even go physical, you can go special because you could build either way. You can also build your Beast Boots to go either way. You're one of the fastest Pokemon in the game as well. So, hey. Also gets coaching. Did you guys know that? Pheromosa gets access to coaching, which is another cool ability. I mean, a cool move to use on your allies. So you know what, Pheromosa? I'll give you an S. Top of the list. 10 out of 10. Zamazenta without... I mean, there's no reason to ever use this, right? Like, why would you ever use this? I guess if you're scarfing it for faster coaching, but like, do you really need to be faster than base 128 speed? Like, how fast do you need to be, man? But I guess if you're gonna use this, I'd stick it in C. Maybe a B, maybe end of B, because I do think it's, better than Gallade. I guess. Don't ever do this, but if you're gonna do it, fine. That's where you belong, in a B tier. Poliwrath is interesting because it gets Belly Drum, it gets Swift Swim. So I think there's utility. I'll put it in B. Primape, I think, is a C. It gets Anger Point, so that's like your only way in with that. But hey, if you can proc that Anger Point, you are taking out everything that you can outspeed. So respect there. Breloom, I think Breloom is solid A, right? Spore is such a unique move, and not a lot of Pokemon have it. So if you're a Pokemon that has Spore, you're already better than so many other Pokemon. And on top of that, Breloom also does get access to Bullet Seed, gets access to Technician, gets access to Mach Punch. So, solid Pokemon. Very solid Pokemon. Hariyama, another A tier, easily. Hariyama is the Trick Room equivalent of Conkeldurr. They essentially do the same thing, except Hariyama is a little bit slower. So if you're in Trick Room, you have, Guts, you can Flame Orb yourself, you can Assault Vest yourself, you could Fake Out. Close combats hurt like a truck. So both similar Pokemon in that regard, both very great fighting types in my opinion. Blaziken, nice A tier. I feel like Blaziken doesn't get as much attention as it used to. It used to be very broken in like Generation 5 with Speed Boost. It was actually banned from competitive singles. Speed Boost is a great ability. Not a lot of Pokemon get it. And it puts Blaziken in a speed tier to where it could, fight other things. Of course, the speed tiers in this game have slowly risen over the last generation with the introductions of Calyrexes, Zacians, Regieleki. A lot of new Pokemon go very fast. So Unfortunately, Blaziken did kind of fall off a little bit because of that, but, you know, it's still a good Pokemon. It's definitely not awful. Buweer. I think Buweer is a nice B tier. Nice B tier mon. It's a very cool typing, normal fighting. It is immune to Ghost, so it does have that going for it. But unfortunately, it's also weak to fighting. The cool thing about it is it's very slow. And it has Hammer Arm to make it even slower. So you can kind of just keep spamming Hammer Arms until you're the slowest thing on the field. And take advantage of Trick Room. Keldeo. Now, Keldeo I don't have a lot of experience with. But from my understanding, it's pretty decent. So I'll say it's a nice solid A tier. Water Fighting's pretty cool typing in general. And it's one of the 3 legendary... I don't know what these are. Are these considered legendary dogs? I don't know. Legendary quadrupeds. It's part of them. They're horses? Are they horses? That's a horse. I'm almost 99.9% sure that one's a horse. Beats me what that is. A cow. Infernape. A tier. Easy A. Has access to close combat, has access to Flare Blitz. Very fast firefighting type. You know. I like it. I think it's pretty solid. You know, we haven't seen it in play too much because it's coming in with BDSP, but I can imagine people will give it a try, and some people might even be successful with it. Buzzwole, I'll give Buzzwole a B. It's a very strong Pokemon. You know, it's an Ultra Beast, right? Which makes it so that it's not awful. But the problem with Buzzwole is that it tries to be tanky when its typing is so bad. And it's not fast enough to justify it, right? So it's almost like it's a bad version of Pheromosa. Pheromosa can kind of negate its defenses by not caring, by just outspeeding every Pokemon it encounters. So who needs defenses when you're fast? Hawlucha. I'll give Hawlucha a C. I mean, Hawlucha does have some pretty interesting sets with Sky Attack and Power Herb and Unburden. But that's like the only meritable one, and it's really hard to get off in doubles because you could just get double intued and then you're kind of stuck. Marshadow is also a very great Pokemon. I give Marshadow. I actually used Marshadow against... Oh no, Mike used Marshadow against me. It was very annoying. It was absolutely terrifying because its ability makes it so that you steal the stats of your opponent. So like if your opponent tries to set up on you, you just steal the stats and you just take over. It's something like that. It's something crazy. I mean, Mystic Pokemon aren't my forte because I don't really play them because they're not allowed in VGC. But from what I understand, Marshadow can be kind of terrifying. Pangoro, I'll give a C. I don't think Pangoro is really that great. It's kind of just worse Scrafty. Phalanx is such a cool mon, and I wish it was better, man. I wish so much it was better. No Retreat's such a cool move too, but I'll give that a C as well. I think Sirfetch'd isn't that bad. So I see some promise in Sirfetch'd, maybe in Trick Room. So I'll give Sirfetch'd the B tier, maybe better than Gallade actually. Might be better than Gallade. Grapple Lock, I'll give it another C tier. I feel like Grapple Lock doesn't accomplish whatever the game intended Grapple Lock to accomplish with Octalock or Octazooka or whatever the heck this Pokemon does. It doesn't do it enough for me to notice. So I'm not sure exactly where to put it. I don't think it's awful, but I think there is a niche, and whatever niche it wants to fill, have fun. Last but not least, Toxicroak. Nice solid A, I think. Toxicroak has Fake Out. Toxicroak has Faint. Toxicroak has Dry Skin. Toxicroak is a pretty hard counter to Kyogre, so... Not a hard counter. It's a good check. Kyogre can't touch it, right? You have Dry Skin. You can just avoid the water spouts and the Origin Pulses and ignore them completely. So I think just that simple fact of being able to stand in front of Kyogre and not care makes it pretty cool. So this list actually came out kind of interesting. Like, we don't have a lot down here, but we got a lot up there, right? We got a lot in the A tiers and the B tiers. But the C, Ds, and F, not too much. So, hey, fighting type, you're pretty good typing. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, you know what to do. Hit the like button down below and subscribe to Pokésports if you haven't done so already. Anyways, I'm Kevin. This is Pokésports. Have a great night. Hope to see you guys here for Pokemon Legends Arceus in a couple days. And I'll see you very soon. Peace out.